people are becoming aware of it. And I got someone just called me and sent me a letter the other day. I guess they had seen it. They were airing it down in Kentucky, and he wrote me and told me how great he thought it was, and you know that I sounded really good on it. So I was very surprised, and I was really happy to hear that.
Now, I told you in one of our interviews that when I saw it on PBS, I thought it was the record. Watching it again on YouTube, I'm still amazed at how tight, not only your voice, and you sound like exactly like the record, but so was the accompaniment was amazing.
Yeah, the house band was unreal. What I thought was great, too, was that they obviously listened to the record after we had done the rehearsal, you know, and then when they came back and we did the live show, the drummer like got down the percussion part, and then they added in like the piano and the vibe parts and stuff, and you're right, it did sound very, very close to it.
Now, the vibe parts, were they put into a keyboard so they could play them back?
I'm sorry, the what?
Did they play the vibes live, or did they?
Yeah, they had a set of vibes up on the stage that night. Yes.
Totally amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought so too.
So you know, you look so youthful in the video, and you sound so young. It's just amazing. For these PBS, you know, the PBS crowd is a bunch of gray hairs, and you young rockers were up there rocking. Yeah, they were great too. You could see in the video that the whole place was standing up and they were singing and they're having a good time. I get that kind of a response usually every time that I do it, and people come up and relate really happy, good stories about what they were doing at the time, and it's a good feeling. So there's this rapper out there with a name Fancy, and it's not the band Fancy that had the hit Wild Thing. The rapper did Na Na Hey Hey Kiss 'Em Goodbye. It's an expensive video, too.
Really?
Yeah, so there's a CD of it, and it's on eBay. I saw it tonight. I was looking, because that's where I do a lot of my research. I wrote a couple of pages I sent to you, and I look on eBay, Gary, and I can get like the picture of the 45 instantly and zero in on the publisher and the time of the record and everything.
Yeah, I was. As a matter of fact, I was looking at the stuff that you sent, and it's great. I love it.
You mean I might have potential as a writer down the road?
I think so.
I've only written about 10,000 articles.
Yeah. Well, hey, Joe, you got to get good after a while, right?
What was fun was I sat down and I saw your email and I said, okay, let me bang one out, and I banged that out within an hour.
Yeah, well, you have a knack for it, man. Believe me, you can see they're very, very polished, very professional, and you know you hit on some very good points.
We haven't even polished it yet. That's the rough draft.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So for you to just whack that out in that short of a time. Right, and you didn't really talk to Joe T, right?
No, I just emailed it to you and him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So with both of your heads together, it'd come out great.
You know, it's the YouTube world. I mean, the internet. You know, in the old days, I'd be at the library and there'd be information on these teletype things that I'd get. You know, writing an article, and then you'd get books off the shelf, and you'd have to pour through the books. That 1 hour would have taken me 3 hours.
Yeah.
So things have changed in a good way if you know where to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely right. I agree with you. Well, that's what amazes me too about the young kids today. They have so much at their disposal for showing their talents and stuff, which we didn't have back in those days. You had to go and door knock and do things totally different.
There's a downside to it, and I'm going to bring it up, and that is the kids today have too much information. So when you made a record back in the day, Gary, even if you had 4 tracks or 6 tracks or 8 tracks, and some of the Sam Cooke stuff was done on 3-track machines.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But, even in the old days, 2 tracks for Frank Sinatra and a big band.
Yep.
So you had to get it right the first time.
or if the Rolling Stones were making Beggar's Banquet on a 4-track, they would mix down the 4-track and then open up 2 more tracks, but everything sounds so good 50 years later.
Yeah, you have to have the ears to be able to put the rhythm section together, right? Like you said, put it down onto one track and then open up more tracks, and then have an idea of what you want to do, so that you could at least have some tracks for your vocals so you could finish up. But yes, yeah, I know what you're saying, believe me.
Well, here's my feeling about some of the kids, not all of them today, because some are purists and will go back. They don't understand what analog recording was. They don't understand how meticulous some artists were putting these things together, and why that you need to go back to the future, if you will.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You know what it is too. Now they have the virtual tracks where you could have 148 tracks going at once. I mean, it's like, how many tracks do you need? You could make a decent record on an 8-track or a 16-track. And 24 is plenty.
Well, I think the magic number is 88. Want me to give you my reasoning?
Yes.
All right. Some of my favorite records in the 70s, don't laugh, were the records produced by the Bee Gees.
Oh, I love the Bee Gees.
So when they did Heartbreaker for Dionne Warwick, and they did Barbra Streisand's Guilty album with A Woman in Love, what a great song, and Andy Gibb, and all these great things, Yvonne Elliman, they were producing. They had, I guess, they would sync up 2 24-track machines and have 48. But when you sync those tracks up, you lose 4 tracks that you need to sync up the machines with. So 48 tracks become 44. Then they had another 2 24-track machines, so they had 96 tracks, which turned into 88 tracks.
Wow.
Those great Bee Gees records were How Deep Is Your Love, Fanny Be Tender. Those were cut on 88 tracks.
Wow. I wouldn't think they would need that many tracks, but you're right. The recordings were really, really good. The guitar was such a full sound, especially on what was that for the movie with John Travolta?
Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever, yeah. The guitar part on that blew me away. It was so thick and rich, and it was just a simple little line that he was playing, but it was so effective.
Well, Albie Galutin was one of the producers. They had 2 co-producers, but those records were rich. They had depth, and you play a Rolling Stones record done on 4-track and a Bee Gees done on 96, and you can play both on the radio next to each other.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
So the big question, how many tracks did you use for Na Na Hey Hey Kiss 'Em Goodbye?
That was done on 8 tracks. It was an 8-track studio. Mercury had a 16-track at the time, but we just used the 8-track.
Was it like 1-inch tape?
Yeah. Yep.
How's that for a guess on an 8-track, 1-inch?
Yep, 1 inch.
And you needed 16 tracks would have 2-inch.
Yep. Yeah, they used that, for let's see, what was his Buddy Miles. Buddy Miles came in and he was recording up there, and they were in the 16-track studio.
So I wonder where those tapes are, if Uni has them in the vaults.
Yeah, I would assume, because I don't know if Paul had them. I know he had them when after it was recorded, but I don't know what happened to him after that. And I know that there was remixes that were done, but again, I don't know, where the tapes are or who has them or what.
Well, we should investigate that. We should talk to Universal Music first out in California. They might have them.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
At least they'd have the 2-track master and some of the mix downs, maybe.
Yeah, well, there was only one. There was only one mix.
Of that song?
Yeah, it was only one mix.
Now, you used a backing track to another tune you had recorded.
Yeah, that was the drum track from a song called Sugar by Neil Sedaka. And it was a black studio drummer from New York City called Jimmy Johnson. And that was pulled, and there was made an 8-bar loop, and then everything was added onto it.
Now, can we find that original Sugar? Do you have a copy of that?
I think I do. Yes, I think I do. I don't know if I have it. I think I have it in a demo form, though. You know, the where they sound test it right before it's pressed, because it never came out.
Boy, we got to see if we can track those down, because that would make a nice collectible box. The story of Na Na Hey Hey, Kiss 'Em Goodbye.
Yeah, I have that. I think I also have Sweet Lauralee, I think, and I have what was the Van McCoy. I can't remember the name of it.
Van McCoy song?
Yeah, it was a Van McCoy song.
Bobby Hebb did For You, and Van McCoy, of course, hit with The Hustle.
Yeah, exactly. He hit with that afterwards, after the Na Na thing, but it was kind of hard picking out some of the songs, because some of the songs that I wanted to do, you know, Paul didn't like the songs. You know, I don't know if he felt that you know, he didn't know what to do with them as far as arrangement or what, but you know, then we wound up whittling it down and finally getting to those 4.
So I'm having Hershey's Kisses here while I'm talking to you from the party last night. We had our WinCam Christmas party.
Oh.
So if Hershey's isn't going the way of Twinkies, maybe they'll do a Hershey's Kisses. Na Na Hey Hey, Hershey's Kisses, hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know.
We'll get them to sing it too.
I'm holding up a little kiss on the a green one. How Christmassy. I got green and red. Hey, I'm a chocolate freak. But no, I want to call you up and wish you happy holidays.
Well, same to you, Joe.
And you have something coming up with the Monkees concert?
Yeah. Davy Jones passed away, and he was the co-host on the PBS special that I did, along with Peter Noonan. And after that, I through Charles Rosenet and this other woman, I forget her name, Phyllis. Anyway, they asked me if I would be a guest because of that, because of Davy, and I said yes, and that's coming up March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of 2013 at the Meadowlands in New Jersey.
Oh, so it's 3 nights.
Yeah, that's what I was told. 3 nights. Supposed to be now. Recently, I just saw it advertised, and I saw March 1st. But originally, what I was told was it's the 1st, 2nd, and the 3rd, because there's quite a few people that have come on board, and from what I understand, they have already sold out 4 hotels there already.
Wow.
Yeah, so I get emails. It's amazing from people from all over the world, you know, wanting to know questions, you know, like answers, and I don't really know because I'm only a guest, you know. So then I hook them up with the Phyllis site, and then they get their answers.
Hold on, Gary. Hey, Jeff, I don't see the logo up on the monitor. So I guess, but we're talking to Gary DeCarlo here, and singer who has just put a new band together. And where was the last gig you did?
Oh, I did a show at the Downtown Cabaret in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and it was a good night. We packed the place, and I got 75 emails the next day from people saying what a great time they had, and you know, when am I going to do it again? And even the band really had a good time. So it was a good night, Joe.
Any video on YouTube?
There is, but it's just Nana. There's a video of me singing it, and then there's a video of me thanking WICC and Weeby 108, which you know, had me on for radio interviews, and then came to the show also.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. They're good people.
So what else did you play that night? And then we'll get you off the hot seat.
You mean as far as songs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a lot of cover things, but stuff that I used to do when I was working the area back in the '60s. I did a lot of R&B stuff, you know, Nadine. I did Knock on Wood. I did let's see what else. I did a medley with Midnight Hour and let's see, very active.
It sounds like a good rockin' set.
Yeah, and then
Rufus Thomas. Rufus.
I made them move a few tables so that there was a dance floor for the people, and I'll tell you, they came up on the dance floor and they packed it, and they, I'm telling you, Joe, they had a really, really good time. They stayed later because there was you know, quite a few people, and they just wanted to stand around. They wanted to talk and come up and say hello and meet the band and stuff. So it was nice. It was a good night.
Gary, we know you're busy. It's the holiday season. Thank you so much for participating with our show tonight.
Thank you, Joe.
Happy holidays, man.
Same to you, man.
All right. Thanks.
Here.
Bye.
Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women, a 1968 epic.
And that's separate from the film Prehistoric Women, right?
Well, that is actually a good step into this movie. This began as a Russian science fiction movie called Planet Burra. Planet Burra. I can't do pronunciation to the justice to the pronunciation, but it was a Russian science fiction movie that an American bought and just retitled it, called it Voyage to the Prehistoric Planet, and dubbed it in English. And then Roger Corman came along and bought that from him and juiced up the title to Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women, and had some scenes shot with the prehistoric women, because in the original movie there's a couple of cosmonauts, in English I guess we call them astronauts, and there's some pretty cheesy prehistoric monsters, but that's it. So Corman had a very young Peter Bogdanovich go out and film from scenes with Mamie Van Doren and a bevy of blonde beauties. Mamie Van Doren is the only one that's remembered today, and inserted that in, and so it finally became, in its present and final form, Voyage to the Planet of Prehistoric Women. And this is a weird movie because of that. And what I find most fascinating about the movie is not the prehistoric women, but is watching how the Russians would have filmed a science fiction movie. The special effects are not as good as, nowhere near Ray Harryhausen. They're comparable to a cheesy American movie of the era.
Ed Wood?
Yeah.
That bad?
Yeah, I don't know if Ed Wood didn't use special effects that much, and what he did, they weren't that bad. They weren't the worst things about his movies. They're probably better than the cheapest Corman.
Are you there? Oh, that's our audio tonight. You there, Frank?
Still here.
Oh, good. I thought I disconnected you.
Okay, and
that was the Russians complaining.
Yeah, maybe they didn't like what was butchered up, or maybe they want the footage of the prehistoric women to put in their version. I don't know, which would be easy, by the way, because the prehistoric women communicate by telepathy, so they actually don't move their lips at all. So you could easily dub it over in any language you wanted. Roger Corman is in his early 40s when he does this, and his directing days are pretty much behind him. And I was surprised. I looked on IMDb for his credits, and they have 56 directorial credits for Roger Corman and over 400 producing credits. And Roger Corman is kind of an entrepreneur at this point. He's always looking for a deal, and he must have got this movie for a song, and for another song he threw in some tapes of Mamie Van Doren and a few other women. And he came up with a serviceable movie that my guess is did pretty well on the drive-in circuit. This wouldn't have gotten near a big theater, a prime theater, but this would have done okay in the country circuits. And what's the plot? The plot is there's some astronauts who are lost on the prehistoric planet, which is Venus, by the way. Hard to swallow because today everybody knows Venus is pretty uninhabitable, but in those days, the people weren't as sophisticated about those things, so you could get away with that. And other astronauts come to rescue them, and off to the side are the prehistoric women who never really get into the story because they didn't spend a lot of money. They just put scenes they could add on. They didn't integrate anything. But I find it fascinating to see how the Russians would have made a movie and their special effects and with the scenes, they show a lot of mechanical aspects of the spaceship and all that, which today seem kind of archaic. They didn't see well, to be honest, very few people in the 60s saw the revolution in instrumentation and electronics, yada yada, to the extent it is today. So, but I found it fascinating. So the first thing what am I saying? It's a historical piece.
Well, here's my question. You can get the Russian version, right?
I don't know. I've never seen the Russian version.
So the Russian would be Planet Bura?
Planeta Bur. Planet with an A on it. So Planeta Bur. B-U-R.
Okay, like Raymond Burr.
Yeah, and what that means, it probably means something in Russian. But I don't know. I can guess what Planeta means in Russian. It probably means planet. But I can't guess what Burr means. Let's see. I'll look at it. See, I'm on my computer.
Raymond Burr, actor of Godzilla. That's what it might mean. Or Rear Window.
Yes, if they put another R on there, it could be Raymond Burr's Planet. But I don't know what planet. Maybe one of your viewers will speak Russian and tell us what that meant.
Okay, so here are my series of questions. So maybe if you find Planet Bora and then the original Voyage to the Prehistoric Planet, is that available before Bogdanovich got a hold of it?
You hit me with these questions tonight. I don't know if it's available. I've never... No, it is... Well, it's available, but what I think they did is the producer of that movie, I guess it was Curtis Harrington, put his own extra scenes in, and when the print was bought by Roger Corman, he took out Curtis Harrington's extra scenes and put his own extra scenes in. And I have actually seen Planet to a Prehistoric Planet, but I haven't seen it in over 40 years, so I'm not gonna comment on it. Except that it's remembered today mainly because those extra scenes have a Basil Rathbone in them not too long before he died. But I'd be really pushing the memory to tell you what was in there. So
this movie has a lot more cachet than people would think. Basil Rathbone's in the second edition of it.
Yes, and Mamie Van Doren is in the third edition of it, and Peter Bogdanovich, under a different name, under the name Derek Thomas, Peter Bogdanovich is the director of the insert scenes. So, yeah.
Why don't we got to find all three and do a box set?
Yeah, I mean, you're the entrepreneurial one. This thing is in the public domain, so if we can get all of them, we're not doing bad.
We're on a search. We're on a mission. We've got 5 minutes left. We're on a mission to find all three movies. Planet Burr.
Well, finding two of them isn't going to be hard because you've got one in your hands, and it looks like you can watch the other one, the one with Basil Rathbone in it, the Curtis Harrington's movie, online. It looks like that's in the public domain. So if the Russians have fallen into the public domain, then you can get that, but I wouldn't know where to begin to look for that. Word about Peter Bogdanovich. He's never directed before, and all of a sudden he's directing a handful of scenes, so it's not very trying for him. But this same year, he'll make what is almost Boris Karloff's final film called Targets. Have you ever seen Targets, Joe?
I have a copy.
Okay, Targets, I think, is a very, very fine movie. And Peter Bogdanovich, who also appears in the movie, is both does a credible job as an actor and does an excellent job as a director. And it's amazing to me that was really his first film, because I don't count this one. This one he's directing a handful of very short scenes to insert in. So that wasn't much of a directorial task. And
Targets is almost, in a chilling way, it predated some of these rock and roll star things like John Lennon.
Yeah, well, let's see. Do you remember the shooting massacre at the University of Texas, the Texas Tower?
Sure.
That's what inspired this. In fact, if you when I saw this on first release, and that was right after the shootings at the University of Texas had been in the news, and the parallels are unescapable. And Well, that is the reason it never got much distribution, because gun violence was a hot topic then, and the studio decided they weren't going to push that envelope, so they basically gave it a release in a couple of the big cities, and then it never went wider than that.
Smart move of Karloff to do it at the end of his life, so that way he didn't become a target.
No, he did not. Well, yeah, and for those who haven't seen the movie, I believe the opening scene is you see Boris Karloff leaving a building, and then the scene is through the sight of a rifle, and he is in the sights of a rifle of a man who becomes a psychotic killer. And no, it's a very fine film. It's probably it's so nice that Karloff did this near the end. I think he died within a year of making this movie. It's not officially his last, but it's really the last movie he starred in that sense of the word. And I think it was the best movie he had made since the 40s. He was very active through the 50s and 60s, but that is pretty forgettable stuff. Even a few films he made with Corman, I don't find all that impressive. But Targets, he was spot on, and I'm glad he got one more great movie under his belt before he passed away.
Fascinating stuff. We've got 2 minutes left, and I had a question, but it floated away.
Okay. Do we know what next week's movie is?
No, we do not. But tomorrow night is The Voyage to the Planet of the Prehistoric Women. And there's a movie on IMDb, Prehistoric Women. Is that the same one?
No, that is not the same one. That is, let's see, as I recall, that's like a 1950s really cheap science fiction movie.
Oh, good. We got a fourth one for the box set.
A fourth one for the box set. And Joe, next week's movie is on December 21st, so we'll still be around, if you believe in the Mayan calendar, for our talk on December 20th. And I hope we'll be able to show the movie that I personally believe we're going to be fine. But in case we're not, this may be the last movie you get a chance to show.
And my question just came back. Bogdanovich married a woman, Sissy something from, was it Moonlight with Bruce Willis?
Sybil Shepherd. Did they ever actually get married? I knew they were together for a long time.
Okay, maybe they didn't get married, but he produced her album, and I reviewed it.
And what kind of review did you give it?
I don't know. If you go to allmusic.com and put in Sybil Shepherd, you'll see the Bogdanovich produced album that I reviewed.
Okay.
So if my review's still there. I just thought I'd let you know that. And that's our show for tonight.
Bye-bye.
That's our show. Happy holidays.